to me, there's something incredibly sad about a bunch of human beings sitting down watching something take place. And just when you think about it, I love movies as much as anyone else, but the spectacle of millions and millions of people sitting in movie theaters and in front of television sets every night watching a second or third hand reproduction of reality going on when the real world is right there in their living room or right outside in the street or down the block somewhere. I think it's a tool to somnambulize or hypnotize people into a kind of waking sleep. But I think the major influence in the next decade or so is going to be the people, I don't know what you'd call them except maybe the connectors, the people who are able to assemble masses, huge masses of people into one spot, as we've witnessed in pop festivals in the last 2 or 3 years. The kind of people that can assemble huge crowds in one spot, I think will be the major influences on mass culture in the next decade. I think the rock music enthusiasts have created probably some of the most exciting music and theatrical events on the planet. I think they're fantastic.
Well, part of generation gap is the difference in what people like in terms of music. Now, the rock and hard rock do seem to go hand in hand with the younger crowd, and some of us who are a little older are confused and puzzled by that, because we can't quite cotton on to this sound. Can you understand that?
You know, adolescence and early youth, the fires are burning fastest, right? When your energy level is probably at its highest, and so it demands a kind of raucous, screaming type music. And I'm 26 now, and I'm getting more interested in jazz, to tell you the truth. I can't even listen to the radio anymore. You know, I like old blues cats and early rock and roll and some other things, but frankly, I find most of it really boring.
This is something that distresses me a little bit. It seems that the young people like all the same kind of thing. Now, I want more out of the young people than just that.
Yeah, well, they're being programmed by their radios. They only play the major radio stations, rock stations, only play 30 songs over and over and over, 24 hours a day. And it's been proven that what you hear the most is what you like the most. So there's really no choice involved. Someone is programming it.
So we are the victims of media.
Uh-huh. What everyone should say is the medium is the message, and the message is me. I mean, that's the answer, is for everyone to... You're asking for an answer. The answer is for everyone to stand up and say, I'm me, and be fully aware of that fact and let everyone else know it.
Yeah. That
you are yourself, and express it.
Jim, we're talking about communication, watching the box, etc., being victimized by the media. Well, there's a sort of a voyeurism in the air today, and you have a line which says, more or less, we're all afflicted with the psychology of the voyeur. That, to me, seems to be tragic.
what it is somehow life gets restricted to what can be seen rather than what can be touched or experienced physically. I don't know whether it's a natural, civilized human fear of involvement, because, touch can lead to a lot of physical involvement leads to all the, the real basic existential moments in life. Sex, death, love, they have really nothing to do with seeing, experiencing secondhand. You have to get in there and actually do it. And there just seems to be some kind of natural civilized inclination to avoid contact with the nitty-gritty of life.
Well, we can't talk about life today and not talk about sex. Now, this confuses me because we have a so-called new morality, and I keep looking at it and trying to figure out what it is.
There is, though, I can remember when I was in high school, and even college, which wasn't that many years ago, and sex was still in the Victorian age. It was very hush-hush. This new group of kids that have come along have, sex will always be a mystery and will always have its hang-ups and strange things about it. But they're much more free. It's just, accepted as a fact of life and not something to be snickered about in private, behind closed doors and all that. I think there definitely is a new style. I think it was a necessary reaction to some kind of weird repression. I don't know how it started, or when, but it was totally unnatural. And I think that is one aspect of the new thing that is happening that is completely beneficial. The repression of sexual energy has always been the grandest tool of a totalitarian system. If everyone was free in their sexual activity, how many people would show up for work? That's the basic problem. Whether progress, the progress of civilization, the evolution of civilized culture is really worth it. And there have been some amazing accomplishments, beautiful accomplishments, but the question is it worth it? Is it worth the repression? And that's something everyone has to answer every second of their life.
When you talk to young people, you go through them, you see them all the time. Do you get the impression from them that they think that life is worthwhile, that it's worth living, that it's a ball?
I'll tell you the damn truth. I don't know that many young people. I really don't. I hang out with my contemporaries, and I really don't have that much contact with young people.
Well, you're 26. You're young to me.
Yeah, but I'm over the hill.
Do you wish you were 10 years younger?
Nah. No. I think generations now happen every year or maybe every month, rather than it used to be, 10 years or something like that. But I think there's a new, things are changing so fast, there's a new generation every year at least.
Jim, I don't think there's any topic that has sort of defined the young revolution more than the topic of war. I don't know anyone who's really in favor of war, but today we seem to have an entire young generation absolutely opposed to the very idea of it.
And probably because they're the ones that always fight the wars. They're the human fodder for the war machine. And there just seems to be no no way around it. There's just no cause. I'm sure I'm sure that the whole basis of the war going on now is economic, and I think young people just got tired of being grist for the mill. But you know, it's a funny thing. From the comfortable position of your TV set in your living room, war is a very, no matter how horrible, well, it's the horror, it makes it very glamorous, you know. It's a great drama, life and death right there, a struggle. And we're all infected from youth, you know, with little kids running around playing war and playing cowboys and Indians or whatever. You know, it's somehow it's just ingrained in you from the beginning that there's something heroic, you know, proving yourself in battle and all that kind of thing.
The very hero concept seems to have changed in these past few years, doesn't it?
No heroes have come out of this present conflict. It's very strange. There's no support for it, hardly even in the press, you know.
And the young people no longer worship warriors the way we used to.
Right. Somewhere in you, you have to entertain these utopian concepts that life could work without all that struggle. You know? Probably not, but I mean, something in us always entertains the fantasy that the world could run without war.
Well, society has always needed, apparently, to worship heroes. Now, where are young people today looking for heroes? What type heroes?
I think the new heroes will probably be political activists. In the 20s, it was sports figures. 30s and 40s, it was movie stars and World War II aces and all that kind of thing. And then the music figures became the heroes. I think the next heroes will probably be a more intellectual sort, political activists and perhaps scientists and computer experts, people like that. People that have an understanding, an intellectual awareness, and a knowledge of how things run, how modern society runs, and they'll probably be the new heroes. I think each generation supersedes the last one in intelligence and awareness, and I think there's been a giant step recently. The young people that I've seen in my travels around, you know, while they're very young and naive in a lot of ways, I think they have an incredible intelligence and awareness of events that far surpasses the people I grew up with. I think, you know, I like to be pessimistic, but I think from what I've seen, they're far better equipped to handle what's coming. Well, they'll have to be.
Jim, in talking about life today, we have the business of the sexual relationship, the relationship between men and women, and we all wonder how much it has changed, the role of the man in modern life and the woman in modern life. We even have a horrible thing called unisex, which terrifies me. Do you think there's much of a difference in the style of life affecting the man-woman relationship today?
Well, you know, when you look at history, it seems to be cyclical. There have been many periods in history where women were the major controlling influence in life. Matriarchal societies and all that kind of thing. And I think women are becoming increasingly important. I mean, it's a ridiculous thing to try and talk about, you know, in such simple terms, but I think the influence of women is becoming more and more felt. I'm not sure I can expand on that, but I think you know what I mean. I think, the unisex trip is really a cop-out. What's happening is life is becoming more and more feminized.
Really?
I think so.
That the male is now less masculine because he has no need to be very masculine.
Yeah, that's true. And, yeah, there's no frontier to conquer, and hunting and fishing and all that. I mean, it's not a basic survival thing. And I think life is becoming increasingly feminized.
And softer for man.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's good?
Sure.
Why?
Well, I think women have it all over men, really. I really think they have the right idea.
Which is what?
Well, less inclination toward intellectualizing things, and the need for formalizing and idealizing life, and just simply accepting it and living it.
We tend to think of women as being starry-eyed and romantic, but if you think about it, most of the romanticizers and the idealists are men.
Very true.
Do you think that will change?
Yeah, I think it's cyclical, but I think in a highly complex and industrialized system which we're engaged in, machines take the place of an earnest day-to-day tackling of survival, and when that disappears, then you get increased feminization.
Well, you're a student of the cinema. You've studied cinema at UCLA, and one of the things that you've written about the cinema is this: it is wrong to assume, as some have done, that cinema belongs to women. Cinema is created by men for the consolation of men. Would you enlarge upon that?
Well, who makes all the films? Who runs the projection booth? It's that masculine desire to dominate life rather than just accepting it and flowing with it. And I think that is responsible for the creation of films and a lot of other things.
Well, men are dominant in the arts, aren't they? As writers, composers, actors, almost everything.
Yeah, there are very few female artists.
Do you think they're wise to keep out of it?
Well, yeah, I do. Although, it's a contradiction because I'm totally hung up in the art game, but I think, women have less need to reestablish a connection with life because they are life.